All right, guys, so today I'm going to be working on the Mustang and we're going to do something a little bit different. So a lot of you guys have seen that I have used a Borescope to check cylinders before, and my old one didn't work and I got a new one. So we're going to check this thing out. It's right behind me. That guy right there. That guy right there, it's looking at me. So this is actually a wireless one. It's kind of cool because I didn't really like the one that I had before because it connected to the phone through the USB and it was always like really awkward. So this one I can take completely separate from the camera and I can still see what's going on. So that's pretty cool. I kind of like that, so we're going to try that and we'll see how this was to edit. But what I would like to do is I would like to go inside the cylinders and check them. I feel like they're okay. I pulled the plugs out because I'm going to change the plugs anyways. So these spark plugs all look okay. There is a little bit of silver on the straps. So that's like kind of why I want to double check them. I'm just going to check the cylinders, put new plugs in. I'm going to gap them down a little bit. These all came out to like 24 thousandths, 23, 24. I'm pretty sure I gapped them down to 20. I think they opened up a little bit. So I'll probably go to like 18, 19 thou. And I'll put some new plugs in. I did put new coolant in it today. I got a new lower radiator hose. That guy, so it doesn't hit the balancer anymore. This was my old one that I had, and you could see that little line there. The balancer was actually starting to hit it. So when it's on there running, it's fine, it didn't hit it, but when the coolant pressure came up, it would swell, and it was just swelling enough to rub on it. So I swapped it out today for one that's completely missing the balancer. It's a little bit close to the exhaust, but I don't think that'll be an issue. And then another thing I want to do is check the oil on it. So I didn't really go over the data logs for my 9.2 pass, but I did check it, and I never even look at oil pressure. So this engine, I can honestly say I've been pretty irresponsible with. I've just been sending it and not really caring much. And I don't even have a dipstick on the car. I have a diaper on the car, and I haven't checked the oil at all. So I put the oil in it. I don't even have a way to check the oil, and just been going for it. So I made the mistake, I guess, of installing an oil pressure sensor, and then last night, and it's been a week or more since I made the 9.2 pass, I never even checked oil pressure. And I made the mistake last night. I was laying in bed and I'm like, oh, I wonder what my oil pressure was. So I looked at it. As soon as I launched, it got to like 6,500 and it dropped to 18 pounds. I shouldn't even be talking about it because once I talk about it, I like bring these things into reality, and I really feel like I'm cursed that way. So now that I talk about it, it'll be a problem. If I didn't talk about it, it would never have been a problem. But it was like 18 pounds all through first and second gear, and then third gear, it leveled off and then spiked back up, came back to like 40 pounds. Which is still pretty low for the RPM I was spinning. But what I'm going to do today is I just want to check the oil level. I want to check the oil, put new oil in it, take the diaper off. I got to do all that to check the oil. I did check the catch can. There was about 4 ounces of water in it. It was just straight water. No oil, nothing like that. But just kind of going over everything before we take it out to the track again and do another pass. Probably bleed the brakes tomorrow. I should do that. Because when I did the line lock, and I broke the line, but I never bled the brakes after that. And I still ran the 9.2 pass after that, and the brakes were pretty good, but they could be a little bit better, so I'm going to bleed the brakes. Just simple stuff, you know, going over that. Freshen it up, new coolant, cleaned everything out. I flushed the radiator out and got all the chocolate milk out of there to where it was like clean, fresh, nice water. And then I put coolant in it instead of water because it'll boil over at a little bit of a higher temperature. I emptied out my catch can, so that's pretty much empty. I did put fuel level on there, so I got fuel pressure, battery, trans temp. I put a fuel gauge on there. It's kind of tipped up in the air, and all the fuel's towards the back right now, so it's pretty low percent. And another really weird thing happened that I just remembered. My solid state relay for the trans brake bump setup failed the other day. I was setting up stuff on the dash, the digital dash, so I set up like blinkers and just random stuff, and I was testing that stuff, and all of a sudden I heard like this weird noise. And the whole car was shaking. Shifter was shaking. Everything was weird. And what it ended up being was my solid state relay for the bump for the trans brake failed. And it ended up being locked on 100% of the time until I hit the kill switch. When I would turn the kill switch off, it would turn the trans brake off. And then I would do this little, like, I would move it a little bit like that. And I could hear the trans brake engaging. So I unhooked the solid state relay just to verify that it was actually the relay, and the relay was actually bad. So now you can see the top right terminal. I don't have a wire to it. The black wire there going to this relay, that's what I'm using for my trans brake right now, just because it's a negative trigger from the ECU, and that one does actually work. So you can hear I push this, and then this will be bump on the backside. So we'll see how it works. It's just a regular relay. I'm kind of interested to test the bump, but I'm really not planning on using the bump with a regular relay. I'm just gonna double bulb and then lock trans brake. But I do have another solid state relay coming. I'm not gonna mess around with the cheap ones anymore. I bought the Holley like nitrous solid state relay, so we're just gonna go right to the other one. It's like 60 bucks. It's really not that big of a deal. So we're gonna do that. So that's kind of where we're at. I was supposed to go to the track the other day. It was rainy, so Hunter and I didn't go, and we're planning on going on a different day. We're not sure what day we're going, so just kind of getting everything ready. All right, so today's a new day. Not really sure where I left off. Had a few drinks yesterday, so I'm a little fuzzy. I did cut my filter apart, and just to check everything. I do got to get an actual cutter. I should just get one of those, because I used the channel locks and just peeled it apart, and it kind of took a long time. But filter, everything looks really good. I did originally drain it into this pan and then put it into here just so I could see if anything settled and there's no metal or anything. Just a little bit concerned about it because it did see 18 psi of oil pressure at 7,500 RPM, and it was basically at 18 pounds of oil pressure all through first and second gear on the data log on the last pass. So it was definitely low. Oil pressure was a little bit low. It was about 1.5 quarts low on fluid though. So I got under 5 quarts out of it, and it should be 6.1 with the filter. So I'm gonna put probably 7 in it. I'm thinking it's a combination of the oil sloshing on launch, revving really high, so it's basically sucking the pan dry, because it also dipped low again when I braked really hard. So it probably sloshed to the front of the pan, and it also dipped then. All right, so I got a fresh set of BR7EF plugs. I'm gonna gap them down to about 20 thousandths. I did gap these down to 20, but they opened up a little bit, so they were like in between 23, 24 when I took them out. None of them are cracked. They all look pretty decent, but I'm gonna put a fresh set in there, and then I also got 4 extras that I'm gonna bring to the track for checking plugs. I'm gonna bleed the brakes tonight. I'm gonna get some fuel, and I already have the trailer. So Hunter from Hunter Tune channel let me borrow his trailer, so I went to go pick that up today. It's sitting outside, so all I gotta do is do not cut that. He was just about to cut my welding foot pedal with a wire cutter. So trailer's outside. We're gonna get up probably about 6 o'clock tomorrow, and the thing opens at 10, so it's about 2.5 hour drive. Get off of that. It's about 2.5 hour drive from here. Okay, so I think I got everything done that I wanted to do. I fixed the lower radiator hose because the hose was actually hitting when it had pressure in it. Refilled the coolant, new oil, changed the transmission fluid. I added a quart of transmission fluid. I added an extra quart of oil. I changed my alternator pulley. So my last pass, the 9.2 pass, my voltage was dropping down to 11.7 volts. Basically, if you're not aware, the smaller pulley spins the alternator too fast, and then it doesn't charge. So it stopped charging when it got like up to, I don't know, like 6,500 RPM. So this will spin it a little bit slower, and then it'll allow it to keep charged. I drained my catch can. I had like 3 ounces of water in it. There wasn't any oil in it. Bled the brakes. I just used the Mighty Vac. I definitely got some bubbles out of that, so that was good. Feels a little bit better. Got a little tool bag packed. Gonna bring some extra transmission fluid. I haven't actually checked the level, but I'm gonna probably check it when it gets warm. The gas can ready. I'm gonna put some E85 in there, and then I'm gonna refill this. I might actually drain this out. There's probably like a gallon in there, but just so it's completely fresh, I want to empty it and then refill it with all brand new gas. Got a generator ready to go. The track we're going to doesn't have power, so we're gonna bring some generators. Probably like battery charger, compressor, stuff like that. This is kind of not really that relevant, but I did notice that my blinker relay went bad. So I did hook up the blinkers the other day, and I went to turn them on the other day just to test it and play with it, and the blinker just came on solid. So the relay actually went bad. I put a new relay on it, and then it started blinking again. But usually I wouldn't think that was a big deal. But my solid state relay on the board also went bad. So now I'm wondering if there's something wrong with the wiring or something like that, where those relays aren't happy. It could be a complete coincidence, but it could be something in the wiring or how it's set up that 2 of the relays failed within 48 hours of each other. I mean, it's not very often that a relay just goes bad, and then for 2 of them to go bad that close together could be something going on. But other than that, we're just finishing up processing some tomatoes. We got a lot of stuff from the garden that we're trying to take care of right now, so we're just doing some processing here, boiling down some tomatoes. We're making pizza sauce and Bloody Mary mix and all kinds of good stuff with all this stuff. So gonna finish that up, get in the house, edit a video, get this up. By the time you see this video, I will already be at the track. I'll probably finish with the track. I'm gonna schedule the date out a little bit so you don't see this before I go to the track. That way I don't really have to tell anybody or very many people that I'm going to the track, because I always seem like I have really bad luck when I tell people what's going on. Like I was going to go to the track on Thursday, and I told everybody about that, and it rained. So that's just kind of how things work.